I would say that, well, as far as improvements go, when I started my job 3 years ago, Indiana Youth Group was kind of hooked into 8 different Gay Straight Alliances in the different high schools around the state. I'm now over 40 in just 3 short years. Not that I started these, but they came to me, or there's a growing trend for these. And I think still, though, my biggest struggle is getting these Gay Straight Alliances started, because especially in public schools, because even though it's a public school, there's still, being in Indiana and being in part of the Bible Belt, it's still very like, people still bring their religious stuff from Sunday with them into the schoolroom. And they've got to realize that, you know, different churches believe different things, and to the point where Arnie Duncan, who's the Secretary of Education, released a letter in June, saying, "Dear colleagues," I'm not going to read the letter to you, but just saying that based on the Equal Access Law of 1984, these Gay Straight Alliances not only have a right to be in high schools, but they should be in high schools to help the bullying process of the LGBTQ students to be diminished. So trying to work on that, and trying to work with different religious organizations in small towns to say, our students are in your school too, and they have a right to be protected. All students have a right to protect it, and you are welcome to have what thoughts you have on the LGBT issues. That's fine, but you still have to protect our children in your school. And Gay Straight Alliances have been shown to reduce homophobia. The other thing is that people don't realize is when these students are being bullied, they are much less likely to go to school. They're much less likely to have horrible grades because they're worried about, you know, being attacked in the hallway. It's hard to do your algebra test when you're going to get a book thrown at you every day as soon as you leave the room. There's a higher percentage of people not wanting to go on to college because they put up with this for junior and senior high school. They don't realize that college is going to be better. So there's a whole lot of other facts that go into this, where a Gay Straight Alliance, if you can come in and change the atmosphere in your school, things get better. And there's a big reason why there's a Gay Straight Alliance, and that's so that the straight students who are allies have a voice in saying, this isn't right in our school. And they're more likely for the homophobic and transphobic students to hear it from the straight students saying, why are you doing this, this isn't right, than it is from hearing from even the youth that they perceive to be LGBT saying, stop doing this to us. So that's one of the main reasons of getting more Gay Straight Alliances started. And I have probably 4 or 5 in the fire right now trying to get things going. And it's working with these administrators to let go of their moral beliefs that they bring with them from their background, and I respect that about them, but again, to protect all children in their school.
Sitting here thinking, the greatest challenge, I think, is with so much communication out there that we still miss that one child that's being bullied, and something happening to that child where they feel like they can't cope with life anymore. I think that's the greatest challenge that we all have sitting in here, this room, because as adults, we're all guilty if we don't listen and to see the effects that bullying has. And I think we need to stop turning a blind eye and say that it's not happening here, it's not happening here, or we don't have that in our school. It's everywhere, because bullying is it can be very subtle. It can be the fact that a child just bumps a kid, but what if that child is being bumped every single day by that same child? So I think that's one of our greatest challenges, listening and really hearing what our children are saying.
We'd like to open it up to the audience. If anyone has a question, just raise your hand, and remember, please use the microphone, and if you have any follow-up questions, use the mic again, otherwise we won't be able to hear you on tape later.
What I want to ask, you focus a lot on the bully. What about the focus on the victim? Not to blame the victim, but what kind of strategies could you work with? Certain kids seem to be targeted more than others. And I say not to blame the victim, but what kind of strategies would you work with on kids who tend to be victims to help them cope with it a little bit better, or to prevent it in some cases?
of that is to work on their self-esteem and to know that who they are is who they are. They need to be proud of who they are, no matter what the case of why they're being bullied. And, you know, maybe show other people who maybe in their childhood have been bullied for similar aspects, and what, again, that it does get better and this is what they've made it through. And also work with the parents on things like that. And again, working with the other bystanders to say, what can you do to stick up with this youth? It's really difficult. It's very difficult when you're working in that situation, because the things that happen when you're a youth and you were bullied continue on for your entire life. You always think back to those words that were said on the playground, and they can really hurt you. Even at 43, I still can remember lots of different things that were said to me.
Anytime that we go to a school and give one of our presentations, one of the important things that we like to do is to actually interact with the students as we talk to them about the issue. And we do that for a couple of different reasons. Number one, that we want to keep them engaged, obviously, but we want them to be thinking about these ideas themselves. We don't just sit there and lecture at them that, you know, this is what happens, this is what bullying is. We ask them, what do you do if you see someone being picked on? What do you do if someone is picking on you? What are your options? And we try to encourage a process that gets the students thinking about solutions, thinking about what they can do, letting them know that they have options and that they don't have to just stand by and take it. They can do things. They can come up with ideas for themselves. They can ask other people for help, and that's part of the approach of our program, is to try to make sure that it's an interactive process to get them engaged and to make sure that they understand that it's a process that they can be involved in. And we find that it's much more successful if we do it that way.
I'm going to bring up the value of the school counselor in a situation like this. I think victims, first of all, would benefit from knowing that they can talk not only to favorite teachers, but they can also talk to their school counselor, who will listen and understand. I think, first of all, school counselors need to know who the victims are, and as they know who victims are, they need to keep in touch with them. Not only to help them learn strategies to cope in the moment with bullying incidents, but also to be able to talk about their feelings and the pain that they are experiencing. I think victims also need to know that they're being heard and something is being done. I think that is also part of the healing process, is knowing that people who can make a difference do care about how they feel and what's happened to them, and that they're willing to do something about it to make things better.
Social workers in the elementary and our counselors are doing that, and it's a great segue into that they do the lunch buddies when they know that they're victims of being bullied. And so what they do is they have those students come in and they talk, they build that relationship with that child. And so once the parameters are set and that child feels safe, then the social worker, the guidance counselor, they will ask the child, is there anyone that you feel comfortable talking with, one of your peers? And the children will readily tell you a friend that they have. So you bring in that friend, and it's just like you just keep building upon that relationship, and then the circle gets bigger, as they call the lunch buddies. And so a lot of times our victims they have that voice. They're able to speak, they're able to say, and so it's like now they don't feel like they're the victim, that they're the victors.
Any other questions from the audience? I think over here.
Hi, I just wanted to hear from your perspective for the youth advocacy community who's looking at broader policies to address bullying and anti-bullying. What can we do? What types of policies would be helpful? What types of prevention strategies, those kinds of things, should we be creating awareness about and talking to legislators about?
I work with, trying to get the schools to work on their non-discrimination policies to include sexual orientation and gender expression is a really big thing. Again, there's a lot of pushback, like, it's kind of a touchy subject. But again, just to realize that everybody needs to be protected, and there are there have been many trials and things where these victims have gone back to actually sue the principals or their teachers that did not protect them, and almost all of those people, those adults, have lost. So it's really important that you have every aspect that you can to say that these people are entitled to be in our school and to feel safer in our school. So that's one thing, to have it, and it's a lot to ask, but to have a mandatory part of all non-discrimination policies to include sexual orientation and gender expression.
The Project Cyber Safe program that that the Marion County Prosecutor's Office offers to schools is available to any school. It's available to any group. It doesn't have to just be students. It can be parents. It can be other groups. So if there is any desire, if you know of a group that would like to discuss these issues or have us come and give a presentation, we're always willing to do that. And I can give you information to contact me after the panel.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for coming. I think we've had some great insight from our experts, and hopefully you guys learned things as well. So thank you very much. Let's give them a hand.
I'd like to thank Jenny as well for taking time, Channel 13, to come and be with us this afternoon and did a great job. Thank you, Jenny, as well, and to all the panelists. It's been a very rich experience. I hope that there'll be many people in our community who will be able to take advantage of all of this discussion, because it's a very important topic, and you all did an exceptional job, and I appreciate it. We have a small token for you that we'd just like for you to take away as well, for you as well, so that you can remember your experience here with us.
Thank you.
And for each of you as panelists as well. Thank you very much. Now that it's getting cool, you can enjoy a warm beverage with the onset of fall and winter. So you'll just remember that you were with the ACLU of Indiana.
Thank you.
For those of you who are here in attendance today, oh, you have one?
I passed mine down.
Sorry. So gallant of you. For those of you who are in attendance, there is literature out front as well. We'd like for you to sign up if you'd like to get more information about us. If you're not already a member of the ACLU of Indiana, we certainly invite you to become a member. We are a volunteer organization, a nonpartisan, not-for-profit 501c3. We depend heavily on donations and for support. So thank you all for being here today as well, and have a good rest of your week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.